So Shavua Tov Kal Kadosh. Good morning. We're going to start Daf Nun Chet Amud Aleph 58a1. So when we were speaking about the last time, we brought a bright down in Zayin Bet. The three things were said with regards to the istima. So this istima was like a type of a hat. So it says here, number one, there's no problem of kilaim, which means that even though it's going to have tzemer upishtim, wool and linen together, since it was made into one thing, but it wasn't actually sewn together, so therefore it's not going to be considered a kilaim. Number two, it does not accept negaim as a clothing, which means usually clothing would accept negaim. Here it does not accept negaim, so there's no tzarat by it. And number three also, en yotzin reshut rabim, which means you're not allowed to go into the reshut rabim, because maybe you're going to take it off and show it to your friends. However, in the name of Rishimon, they said, Af en ba mishum atarot kalot. There's also no prohibition of atarot kalot, which means after the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash, was a prohibition to put on like an atara, right, which is like a crown for the kala, because we're in avelut, we're mourning the Bet HaMikdash. Over here, this type of adornment, there's no isur of atarot kalot. Okay, Shmuel Amar. Shmuel, this is where we're starting for today, this first line. Shmuel Amar. So Shmuel says, Kavla de Avda Tenan. Our Mishnah is talking about the kavul of a servant, of a slave, which means that they put it as a siman of avdut. And therefore they said that the shivcha cannot go out with this on Shabbat. Let me see here if I could see. Here it is. Kavla de Avda is this.
Il a commencé, il n'a pas marqué.
Yeah, you see it here? This is the Kavla de Avda. It's like a necklace type of a thing, or like a, where they put their ID, something like that. That's the Kavla de Avda. Okay? So ask the Gemara, Umiyama Shmuel Hachi. The Shmuel say that this kavul is going to be asur to go out with on Shabbat. The Hamar Shmuel. Shmuel comes and he says, as follows. Shmuel comes and he says, an Eved could go out with the chotam, with this, again, this type of, which was here, this chotam was made out of tit, of clay, on his tzavar, hanging from his neck. But he cannot go out with the one which is hanging on which is fixed on his clothing. So it comes out that the kavla de avda, which is on the neck, right? He permitted to go out with it. So here again, I'll show you the picture. The aleph, everyone sees the aleph there? The aleph, this is the kavla davda, which is on the tzavar. It's hanging from the neck. The bet is the one which is sewn into the clothing. So he said, aleph he could go out with. Bet he could not go out with. That's what he said. Again, we're talking about the eved, yeah? The slave. So answers the Gemara. Lakashya, it's not a question. Why? He says, he says, when Shmuel came and said that it's going to be permitted to go out to the Reshut Rabim on Shabbat with a chotam shebetzavro, we're talking about a chotam that his master made for him. So we're not going to suspect that he's going to take it off because he's afraid of his master, but he's going to take it off. His master finds out that he doesn't have his identification, that he's a slave. He'll go crazy at him. So he's very, very, he's worried. But if he made it for himself, then it's going to be a problem. Okay? Then it's going to be a problem. So says the Gemara, with what do we make the ukimta on Shmuel? Why did you say that we were talking about in accordance to Shmuel, that you went and you put it, right? It was his master that did it to him. So what's the difference? If it's the master doing it for him, and now the reason why is because he's afraid of the master, so then what do I care now whether it's going to be hanging from his neck or it's going to be on his clothing? It's the exact same thing. Since his master made it for him, he's afraid of taking it off. So if it was his master, what do I care now where it is? So answers the Gemara, no. Dilma mifsak umirtat. maybe what's going to happen is that it's going to fall off from his clothing and fall onto the floor and break. Umirtat, and he's afraid of his master, right? That maybe that kilu, he took it off b'chavana, he took it off purposely. Then what he's going to do is he's going to hide it in his clothing, right? Meaning like to hide it, and then he's going to go into the Reshut Rabim and walk with it. Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef, like Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef. The Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef from Yochanan, hayotze b'talim mikupellet u'menach al ketvo b'Shabbat, chayav chatat. If a person comes and takes out with a talit on his head, and then afterwards he comes and he puts it on, right, on the parts of his clothing which are covered, he's going to be chayav chatat. Okay? Why? Because you're not doing it like a malbush, you're not doing it like a clothing. However, though here, we don't have to suspect of the chotam shebetzavad because it's not shayach that it's going to fall off and all these things. And therefore, you're allowed to go out with it on Shabbat. Okay? So it makes sense. Basically, one more time. He was always afraid of the master. So therefore, we asked if he was afraid of the master, why is it that the necklace type of a thing is permitted, and if it's on his clothing, it's prohibited? He said the reason why was if it falls off and it breaks, he's going to be afraid of his master. His master is going to say that you did it purposely, and you took it off, as if to remove my sovereignty on you, right? That you don't want any subjugation anymore. So what happens?
So what's the difference between folding a talit or wearing the talit?
In here, in the case of the question to do with the talit, I understood is that after you took the parts which are on the body and you put everything on your katef, like the olden days, many times there were Moroccans, I'm not sure about Syrians, but many times they used to have the talitot that was like, this small. It was like a scarf more than a talit. Yeah? So imagine now you took that, right? But it wasn't that. It was really the long, long one. But you put it on your head, and then on Shabbat, you're putting everything from the back, everything on the shoulders. So it's more like of a type of a scarf more than anything like that. So is in such a case, it's not, you are chayav chatat, because it's not a malbush, it's not a clothing. Like, what are you doing? Here it says that even though you didn't take off the talit completely because your head is still covered with it, it's still considered a masui in arba mot reshut rabim, because usually people do not wear the talit like that. Okay.
Even though like the talit is not a malbush for the street. Like now you see people now and then, you see people wearing talit in the street. It's not a malbush for Shabbat.
No, 100%. But they're wearing the talit normally. Mm-hmm. If they're wearing the talit normally, then it's a malbush. But if you took that talit and you completely put it up here, so then that's not normal to wear that like that. So then it's considered a masui. Then it's not considered malbush anymore. Mm-hmm. Meaning the concept of a malbush is that it has to be normal for you to wear it like that. If you're not going to wear it like that, then it becomes considered carrying. I remember once even seeing, that, for example, this jacket, if I walk out with it, it's considered a malbush, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so there's no problem. What happens, sometimes they do it, and I remember that in the yeshiva many times they used to ask this question. Sometimes the bachurim come, and they don't put their arms here, meaning they're putting it like this, but on top of the arms. Meaning
they're wearing it over.
What?
They're wearing the jacket over, not putting their hands.
Exactly. They're wearing the jacket over and not inside. So there, I remember once seeing, I think maybe at the end, Maskana was more lenient, but I do remember a question saying, is that now considered carrying on Shabbat? Because it's not normal to wear like that. Which means that even though it's a clothing, but if you're wearing it in a not normal way, it's not a derech malbush. And then it could be that you're going to be chayav if you're going to carry it on Shabbat.
Got it.
Yeah? Okay, very good. Fine. So says the Gemara, 1 second. He says, this is compared to that which Shmuel said to Rav Chinana bar Shila, that all of the Rabbanan of the Beresh Kaluta, of the Rosh Hashanah, lo likpuku besarbile chatine, they will not go out on talitot, which have the chotam of the Resh Kaluta, because maybe, they're going to suspect that because of the fear of the Resh Kaluta, they're going to hide it and they're going to carry it in Ushur Darvim. Lebar mehanach, except for you, Rav Chinana, right? That you are allowed to go out with this talit of the Resh Kaluta. Because nobody's makpid on you from the Resh Kaluta, even if you go without this sign. Okay? So we learn from the words of Shmuel that even in a place where we're not going to suspect, right, that the Balabeged, right, that he's going to take it off with his own hands, right? Because here we're not talking about it's bizayon, right, of the Resh Kaluta. The opposite, it's a sign of kavod that he's coming from the Resh Kaluta. Nevertheless, maybe it could fall out from itself, right, by itself, and then what's going to happen is you're going to carry it on Shabbat. So therefore, if Shmuel prohibits, right, mitam ze lechachamim to go out with their talitot, kol sheken, an eved is not allowed to go out with, which means like this. It comes out here, it's the exact opposite of the avdut. Here, it's the other way around. Here, I'm part of the Resh Kaluta. So the chachamim of the Resh Kaluta, they were able to come out with this chotam of the Resh Kaluta, and it was a kavod for them. And still, Shmuel came and said it was prohibited for these chachamim to go out with this, just in case it's going to fall off. And then you're going to come and you're going to hide it and take it. So because of that, they prohibited it. There was only one rabbi of Chinyana Bashira that he permitted it. He was permitted to go out with it because they weren't makpid, right? They weren't strict, right, upon Rav Chinyana Bashila. So therefore, since they weren't strict about it, that's why they permitted it. So the question that we ask ourselves now is, why do you tell me now, right, as if to say that there's a big chidush to do with, there's a big chidush to do with the avadim. Kol sheken avadim would be prohibited to go out with it. Because if you're going to suspect the rabbis, right, that they're going out and it's a sign of kavod, and still it's going to be prohibited, just in case it's going to fall off, and then they're going to hide it and take it and everything. So kal v'chomer kol sheken for an eved, which is a sign of bizayon or mered, like mordut, like to rebel, kol sheken for him it's going to be prohibited. Okay? So another memra of Shmuel, because we already started with Shmuel. Gufar and Shmuel also said, Yotzei ha'eved b'chotam shebat tzavaro. An eved could go out with the chotam, which is on his, like a necklace, which is on his neck. Aval lo b'chotam shebeksuto, but not with the one which is on his clothing. Tanya Miyachi, we also learned this in a Braita. Yotzei ha'eved b'chotam shebat tzavaro, aval lo b'chotam shebeksuto. So he's allowed to go out to the Reshut Rabim with the chotam which is on his neck, and not the chotam which is on his clothing. When Minu, we have a contradiction. Lo yotzei ha'eved b'chotam shebat tzavaro, lo b'chotam shebeksuto. Here it says both you're not allowed to go out. Not with the chotam on the tzavar and not on the chotam on the ksut. V'zeh v'zeh, and coming tumah, both of them also do not receive tumah. Which means that an ava tumah that comes and touches it, since it's not a tachshit, because it's not made for a beauty, for an adornment, but rather it's made like for ganai. So therefore, and it's not a kli tashmish, like either. So because of that, basically it's just like an ID. But it's an idea in a negative form. It was like the Jude, for the Jews when we had it. So technically speaking, like that was the question when they were going on with that on that, because that which is sewn into the clothing, that was for a kanai, that was for for derogatory purposes. You understand? But that was what we're talking about here. Velo bezug shetzavaro. Also, they're not allowed to go out with the pa'amon, with the zug. Right, which is basically a bell which is on their neck. You could go out with a zug on the clothing. They're mekabel tumah. Why? Because it's a tachshit. Why would a human being use this? The Gemara is going to explain the difference between the two pa'amonim. Wow. Okay, let's see. Here, the picture, there's 4 different bells. So the Aleph, right, is the Zug Shebetzavaro. It's over here in the middle. Yeah, everyone sees it in the middle? That's in the middle. The next one, Bet, is Zug Betzavaro, correct? Yeah, no, sorry. The first Aleph was Zug Shebeksuto, the Tzavaro. The next one is the Aleph is Betzavaro. This is like the necklace. The Bet was the one which is in the ksut, in the clothing. But then we're going to have another 2 as well. The Gimel was the Micha Bemumche, which means that they put it into the clothing. They sewed it into the clothing. So obviously if they sewed into the clothing, it's going to be much better. And Dalid, okay, Dalid is already Tosot. Okay, fine. So it says the Gemara, "Velo tetzeh behema lo bechotam shebetzavara." So the behema is not allowed to go with the chotam which is on its neck. Again, identifying whose animal belongs to. Velo bechotam shebeksuta, and not the chotam on the ksut. Okay, so here it says that they put it onto like the horses in order that they don't get their their body dirty. Velo bezug shebeksuta, velo bezug shebetzavara, not on the pa'amon, on the bell, whether it's going to be in the clothing or on the neck. Both of them, they do not mekabel tuma. Okay? So here, by an animal, it's basically saying that an animal cannot go well with anything. Yeah? Not in the zug, betzavaro. Behema cannot go out, not with the chotam betzavara, not in the chotam shebeksuta, not in the zug beksuta, velo bezug betzavara. So nothing. It's only a human being that we said there was a difference. So says the Gemara, Lema hadav le'rabei. Right? So basically the question that we're now asking is, you just told me that an Eved is prohibited to go to the Reshut Rabim on Shabbat, even with the Chotam Shabbat Tzavaro. So this is Soter Shemuel that said that you are allowed to go out with the Chotam Shabbat Tzavaro. Okay? And now, why did we bring the animal? I think it was just Stam. It was, the continuation of the Braita. But the real question already was, when we started from Urmin, who was, that we brought a Braita, Shemuel. Shemuel says, Yotzei Eved Shabbat Tzavaro with a necklace one, but not with the one on the clothing. The Braita said the exact same thing. Or minhu, we have a contradiction from another Braita. The Braita says that an Eved cannot go with either or, nothing. And then we brought down also with the Zug, right, with the Pa'amon, which is the bells. So then we brought down the animal to do what the difference is. Now we're going to answer, Leima which means the Braita of Shmuel was talking about that his master did it. So if his master did it, we're not going to suspect that he took it off and walked for a moment with it, because he's going to be afraid of his master. However, though, if he did it for himself, right, meaning not that he did it for himself, and therefore his master is not makpid, and he made it for himself, then we do suspect that he's going to take it off in the Reshut Rabim carry. Okay? So says the Gemara, no, you don't have to answer that one was talking about that his master did it, and the other one is talking about that he did it for himself. Idi ve'idi davile rabeh. Really, be'emet, both cases, it was his master that did it. Bekan b'matechet, bekan betit. Right? One of them is talking about matechet, which means we're talking about a metal. Okay? So that's why the adon, the master, is makpid, that he doesn't lose it because it's made out of metal. Okay? And therefore, if it, even if it falls off, he'll try to fix it or whatever it is. And here the Braita is talking about tit, which means that it has no erech. So if it just broke, it's not worth anything. So we're not going to suspect it, which means that it has nothing to do with who made it. The who made it was not the inyan. Really, Be'emet, both of them were talking about that even if it was, the slave made it for himself, right? The only difference is, what is it made out of? Right? That's what it says. Idi, the master did it for him. But what? One of them is made out of matechet, one of them is made out of tit. If it was made out of matechet, so therefore the master is going to be makpid because it has some value. It's made out of tit, the master is not going to be makpid. Just like Rav Nachman says the name Rabba Ravua, davar makpid alav rabo, yotzin bo. Right? Something which is makpid alav, his master is makpid alav, because it's got erech, and yotzin bo. So then, you're not allowed to go with it on Shabbat, because we're going to suspect that you're going to carry it. But the Vasher makpid alav, but if the master is not going to be makpid on it, yotzin bo, you're allowed to go, because if it breaks, okay, kapara, that's it. Nobody's going to get angry. Why didn't you bring it back? In a sense, to fix it. It has no value. It's also logical. Because we learned in the Braita, by both cases, whether we're talking about the chotam, which is on the tzavar, or the chotam, which is on the clothing, and mekablin tuma, it does not receive tuma. If you're going to tell me that it's talking about something of matechet, these things do not mekabel tuma. Hakelim didhu, the kelim mekabel tuma, they are going to be mekabel tuma. But if you're going to tell me that we're talking about of tit, this does not mekabel tuma, but it's made out of clay. Hakelim didu, but if it's going to be a utensil, it is mekabel tuma. We learned in the Braita, any utensil which is made out of stone, which is made out of the excrement of animals, or klei adama, of earth, and mekabel tuma, it's not mekabel tuma, whether it's midoraita or midorabanan. Shmamina, so it learns from here that for Elal Shmamina, there has to be from here The Braita is talking about matechet. So this is a logical thing to say that we're talking about matechet, because if it's talking about any other type of a thing, whether it's teeth, obviously it's not mekabel tuma. What's the chidush? We just said even kli galalim, or kli adama, kli avanim, it's not mekabel tuma. So for sure we're talking about matechet, and that's the chidush. And over here it's not going to be mekabel tuma, because it's not considered for knowing. Okay? Whereas in dormant, shma mina. Until here, everyone's clear? Okay. Amar Mor. Mor says, V'lo bezug shebetzavaro. We're not talking about that. Basically, we taught in a Braita that you're not allowed to go out with a zug, with a pa'amon, which is a bell on their necks. But he's allowed to go out with the zug shebeksuto, with the bell on his clothing. Okay? Zug shebetzavaro ma'lo. Why can't you go out with a bell on your neck? Maybe it's going to break, and you're going to pick it up and you're going to carry it. Zug shebeksuto nami. So the same thing with the zug on his clothing. Maybe you're going to carry it on Shabbat if it breaks. Answers the Gemara, what are we dealing with? That you came and you sewed it together to the clothing, and we're not going to suspect that it's going to come off. So that's like nowadays, if you have a tailor or someone that they're going to actually sew it on, we're not going to suspect that it's going to fall off. Anything which is woven inside of the clothing, they never made a decree that maybe you're going to carry it on Shabbat. Why? Because you're probably not going to carry it on Shabbat. Okay? Amar Mor. Mor says, Lo tetzeh behema, an animal cannot go out. Lo bechotam shebetzvarav, lo chotam shebetzvarav. Not with the chotam on the neck or on the clothing, and also not in the pa'amon, in the bell of the clothing or on the neck. Zev v'zev, by both of them, it's not mekabel tumah. So ask the Gemara, the zug de behema, a zug of a behema, the pa'amon, a bell of an animal, is not mekabel tumah, or meaning we have a contradiction. Zug shebehema tmeah. The zug of a behema, which is from his neck, it does mekabel tumah. Okay? The shel delet teorah, but if it's a pa'amon which is on the door, it's going to be tahor. It's not going to be mekabel tumah, because the delet itself is tahor from the mekabel tumah. So since the bell is attached to the door, it's like mechubar lekarka. So anything which is mechubar lekarka, it's not considered kli to do the tumah, therefore it's going to be tahor. Okay? So it says the Gemara, shel delet vasal behema. What happens if it was from the delet and you took it off and now you're putting it for the animal? Now it's tmeah. But if it was from the animal that you put it to the delet, even though you connected it to the wall, to the door, and you nailed it in, it's still going to be tameh. Why? Because since at the beginning it was made to be mekamen tumah, so too now it doesn't change its status quo. Why? Because all the kelim, they become fitting for tum'ah b'machshava. But they are not going to be olim tum'ah ela b'shum ma'aseh, unless you change something. Which means, the second that you thought of something, right, now, right, that's what it says here, they become fitting for tum'ah, right, the second you designated it for it. Okay? So therefore, right? That's why that the second that you took it from the door and you put it on the animal, so the fact that you put it on the animal, now with the machshava, you changed its designation, now it's going to be mekabel tumah. But the other way around, if it was from the animal, now it came to the door does not mekabel tumah. So why doesn't it change? You put it with nails into the door, doesn't matter, because you didn't do shini ma'aseh in the actual body of the bell. So since you didn't do anything with the bell, you just nailed it into the wall, it's still mekabel tumah, just like it was by the animal. Okay? So says the Gemara, so it comes out from here. The question, again, to go back to the original question, a bell of an animal does mekabel tumah. That's what we just said. You told me 2 seconds ago, right? You just said, right, that a zug of a bema is not mekabel tumah. Doesn't matter whether it's coming from the tzavar or the ksut, from the necklace or from the clothing. Here it's written that it is. So answers the Gemara la kasha. It's not a question. Okay? Hali le'imbel v'had le'imbal. The imbel is, it sounds in bell, like inside of the bell, which is basically the pa'amon has a little tiny, I don't know how you want to call it in English. How do you call it in English? The imbal? The little piece of metal that starts banging against the walls, and that's what makes the bell sound.
It's a clapper.
Clapper. Okay, so the clapper. So if it has a clapper, right, So therefore, what happens is therefore it's considered a utensil and it's mekabel tumah. But the braita that says that it's not mekabel tumah, it does not have the clapper. So since it doesn't have the clapper, it's not considered a utensil, and therefore it's going to be tahor. Okay? So it says the Gemara, manavshach, imanahu, if it's a utensil, so even though if it doesn't have the imbal, right, even if it didn't have the clapper, right, it doesn't matter. It's a utensil. It should be mekabel tumah. And if it's not a utensil, so even if it does have the clapper, imbal mashvel mana, what, the imbal now makes it into a utensil, right? You have to decide, is it a utensil or not a utensil? What do we care about the clapper and the inside? So answers the Gemara in yes, it is important. He says, why? Like Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani and Rabbi Yonatan. Like Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani and Rabbi Yonatan. The Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani and Rabbi Yonatan, minayin lemashmiya kol bekli matachot shehu tameh. How do we know that if you're going to be mashmiya kol, you're going to let out a kol, right, in a kli matachot, how do we know that it's going to be tameh? Which means that if the kli matechet is made for hashmat kol, it's made for making noise, how do we know that it's considered a kli and it's mikabel tumah? Shneimar, but it says in the pasuk, this is talking about again everything that took from the kli midyan and everything, and that's where they learn to do with how do you kosher kelim. Kol davar asher yavo va'esh, anything which could come in the fire, taviru va'esh, which means anything which is not done with a liquid and is done with a fire, you have to do a fire to purify it. Okay? But you have to clean it with a mikveh. The word davar, kol davar, at the beginning of the pasuk, they learn afilu dibur. Even if it was made for dibur, dibur means speech. A utensil does not speak. It means that it's made for noise. So any utensil which is made for noise, right, yavo va'esh, it has to go into the fire, which means you have to do tefillah b'mikveh. So since it's clean, needs tara b'mikveh, so it's mikabel tumah, right? That's why you have to put it in the mikveh. So it comes out that anything which is made for noise has to go into the mikveh, and that's why it's mikabel tumah. Okay? So says the Gemara, b'ma'u kimta, what did you make the braita come and say that we're talking about a pa'amon of an animal, which is not mikabel tumah, right? B'delet li imbal, right? You just said that there's no imbal, there's no clapper, and therefore it's not making noise. If it's not making noise, it's not a utensil. Ema metziata, let's say the metziata, the middle case. The middle case there said, v'lo yetzeh bezug shebetzavaro, an animal is not allowed to go out with a zug on its neck, but it could go out with a zug on its clothing. They're both mekabel tumah. So if it does not have this bell, why is it mekabel tumah? We just said that only because it has a bell it's mekabel tumah, because it makes a noise. Or meanwhile, we have a contradiction. How it says zagin lemachdeshet. Imagine right now you make these bells, right? You make these bells which they make out of besamim. So you put the bells on top of the pitum because the kol, the voice, meaning noise, is good for besamim. So you put bells on top of this hammer, and you're hammering away, right, on the mechteshet in order to make the besamim. And you purposely made the bells in order that the voice, right, the music is good for the besamim. Yeah? Remember, kol is the voice, the music, right, with a kuf, not with a kaf. Right? There was a famous joke with a person that he went and he said, asha kol, and he smelled besamim. So he told him, why did you just make a shakol? Right? You have to say, bore minim besamim, bore atzeh, bore izbeh, what's going on? He said, well, we say mefurash, mimideh shakol, yafel besamim. It's good to do a shakol on besamim. You understand? But he didn't realize that he said with a kaf instead of a kuf. Yeah? For the people that they don't know the difference between kaf, kuf, it's all the same. Yeah? So he says, right, so this person comes, and he was very smart. He put on the hammer, which is banging on the besamim, he puts these bells in order to make voice, to make sounds, and this music is good for it. So he says, Vila arisa, right? Or for an anisa, which is basically that they make for a mitat tinok, it's like a crib. Right? That they put pa'amunim, right? That in order that the child will go to sleep. So you know all these machines nowadays that they go around, na 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 na, you know, all these lullaby, I don't know how they call it. They put it on top of the crib. So that wasn't something new. It was already started from here. They used to put bells, right, on the cribs of the babies in order to make noise, and they should fall asleep, right, from all these types of bells. Or mitpachot sefarim, or also they do it on the mitpachot sefarim. So they put bells in order that the children will listen, that the melamed is bringing it, so that way, that means basically everyone hears that the teacher's coming. the rabbi is coming. So once the rabbi is coming, everyone comes running to him. Ulmitpachot tinokot, or for the sinat of the children. We're talking about again, malbishim letzavaram. They put it on their, like it's like a bib, right? Why? In order that the parents know where the child is. So yesh lehem imbal, if they have an imbal, tamein, so then it's going to be tameh. But if it doesn't have an imbal, it's going to be tahor. Nitluim belen, if they took away the clapper, adayin tumat alehem, they still have the tumah. So you see from here, right, that also it is mekabel tumah, right? So it has nothing to do with the pa'amon that was the imbal was there from the beginning or not. So if it has an imbal, it's tameh. If it doesn't have an imbal, tahor. And even if you did take away the imbal, it's still tameh. So you see from here that even without the imbal, it's still tameh. Okay? So, and this is also even for a human being, because it's like for mitpachot tinokot. Nowadays, I'm so surprised that they don't have a GPS. Like, like you, for example, you would put a watch on your child, and it has a GPS. And then what happens is that you could see where they are. Right? Instead of having the inbal, a bell, so you have to look for them, something like that. Okay, so answers the Gemara. Hanemile betinok. We're talking about a child, right? And therefore, the pa'amon that does not have an inbal is tahor from mikabel tuma. That's only with the clothing of a tinok, of a child. He says dilekala of dile, because you made it for the voice, for the sound, right? And therefore, he says over here, if they don't have the clapper, so it doesn't make a sound, so it's tahor legamne. However, though, aval begadol, we're putting it on a human being, on a slave, or on his clothing, tachshit hule. It's also tachshit. And therefore, afagav de limbal, even though if it doesn't have an imbal, it's still going to be, right? Even though it doesn't have a clapper, it's still going to be considered a tachshit, and therefore it's going to be mekabel tuma. It's like a watch, right? The watch is a tachshit. So even if the watch stopped working, it's still a tachshit, and people go out with it, and they would, use it to whatever it is. So therefore, that's what he's saying over here. The fact that it's still a tachshit even without the actual purpose of it, like the bell or the clapper we're talking about. So therefore, it's still going to be a problem. Okay, it's going to be a problem in the fact that it's going to be mekabel tuma. That's what we're talking about here. Okay, fine. We're in the two dots on umchet amubet. Amar Mor says, okay, nitruim belehen. If the imbal was taken out of it by the clapper, adayin tumatan aleim. We still said that it's going to be still tameh. The ma'chazu, ask the Gemara, what is it fitting for? Meaning, if you took out the clapper, what is this fitting for? So Amar Abai says, no. Since any normal human being could put it back, meaning you don't need a craftsman or somebody, like a professional. Anybody could put back this clapper. So the fact that anybody could fix it and put back the clapper, so therefore it's not considered, right, a shini maaseh, and it does not come up from its tumah, okay? And therefore it's still tameh. So Mativ Rava comes and he asks a question from the Mishnah in Para Yudbet, right? Mishnah Chet, Hazug va'Imbal Chibur. The walls of the Pa'amon and the clapper is considered one utensil. Because if other tumah touches one of them, the other one automatically becomes tameh. Also, the same thing to do with tahara. If both of them are tameh, tumat met, the Kohen comes and sprinkles the waters of the mechatat onto it, it purified its friend as well. Right? So the fact that the Tana is coming and saying that the zug and the imbal is one utensil, and he's calling it a chibur, it's mashma that it's mamash like metzarfam, that you wield it together. I think it's wheeled. No, that they come and they mamash, they put it with the metal together with the, with the fire and everything, they make it into one piece. Okay? So therefore, what we're trying to say is that if it breaks, so then for sure it should be tahor, because it was wielded together, so strong. Okay? If you're going to tell me, hachi kamar, this is what it means to say, afal gavdelo mechubar, keman de mechubar dami, even if it wasn't going to be mechubar, it wasn't connected together, it's still considered as if it's going to be connected. Yeah? But Tanya, we learned in a Braita, masporet shel prakim. We're talking about the masporet of the prakim. I'll show you the pictures until now. This was the animal that it's got. Again, Aleph is the chotam shebetzavara. Okay? Bet is on the clothing. Gimel is the zug shviksuta over here on the bottom, because again the bell is on the clothing, and then here dalet is the bell on the neck. Okay, then you have this is the zug of the delet, which is basically like the door knocker. Okay, this is the zug on top of the on the machteshet. So this is on. I thought it was on the hammer part, but he put it on the bottom part. So when they were beating it together to make the besamim, this is where it made this sound. This is on top of the crib of the baby. Okay, over here, there's mitpachot sfarim, the bells, right, that we have ourselves on the mitpachot sfarim, right? The next one is mitpachot of tinokot, so on the bibs of the baby. And then here, this is the scissors. Okay, so this is what it is. Misparot shel prakim, which is made out of two pieces, and then you put them together. Okay? Or izemel shel rehitni. This is the izemel. This is this object over here. Okay? So it says over here like this. Ba'atayim, we learned to write misporet shel prakim. Misparaim, which they come in two different parts, and they attach them together. Or izemel shel rehitni. Or the knife of the rehitni, of the mitzvah of, for example, nagret trisim, and so this is, again, making different utensils for craftsmen. Okay. Chibur letumah, it is considered mechubar for tumah. Then chibur lezah, but it's not considered chibur for azah, which means to do with tameh, even if it touched one half, the other half becomes tameh. But to do with haza'ah, sprinkling of the waters of chatat onto it to purify it, it's not considered chibur. You need on both parts to become tahor. So we said, explain, how does this work? If it's a chibur, so even for sprinkling onto it, it should become a chibur. And if it's not a chibur, so then if also to do it too much, should be not considered a chibur. So says the Gemara, Rabba comes and he says, Devar Torah mina Torah, beshat melacha chibur. When you're doing the melacha, it's considered a chibur. Ben letuma ben lazah for both. Shelo beshat melacha. If you're not doing the melacha, right, that means basically that once he finishes his melacha, so it's not a chibur, not for tumah, not for hazah. Gazru al tumah shelo beshat melacha nishum tumah shi beshat melacha. So they made a decree on tumah shelo beshat melacha during the time of tumah, which is beshat melacha, and on the hazah, which is beshat melacha, because of hazah shelo beshat melacha. It's stringent in both. Because if right now you're going to say that the mechatat is going to be good on one of the portions, that was only during the time of melacha. What's going to happen if it's not going to be during the time of not melacha? So now you're going to do it as well, and it's not going to be tahor. So they made the decree. So they made the decree on both of them, so you never make a mistake. Okay? So Elam Rava, but rather Rava comes and he says, right? He says, no. He says, you know why the pa'amon of a child, that you took away the imbal, you took away the clapper, it's still tameh? He says, because you could still make noise out of it by coming and hitting with it with another utensil. For example, you come in and take a piece of cheres, right? You have a bell. And you have a bell. This is the bell. Pretend this is a bell, and you hit it with something else. So the fact that you could make noise with it with another utensil, that's why it's still going to become, it's still going to be mekabel tumah. That's what he says. Okay, so he says, that's why it's en mlachto rishona. Aval pa'amon that you took away the imbal, it's still fitting for that. So therefore, it's not going to take out from the tumah. Okay?